Okay. We should be recording now. Perfect. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I always like to start with just kind of getting, and maybe it's because I have small kids, so I'm clearly a hot mess, but just kind of refocusing where I'm at and kind of knowing like, what do I need to tackle? What is my goal this week? What am I inviting to? So take some time just to kind of center yourself if you haven't done that today, which I haven't already, and kind of look constructively and honestly strategically at your business. And then I always like to reread my why, because that really keeps me driven, especially if I'm having kind of a blah day where maybe that fire isn't quite there. That always really gets me going again. And then at the very beginning of my power hours, I like to really truly reach out to 5 people, 3 to 5 people who have joined me, whether they're coaches on my team or clients of mine, and just thank them. Like just honest, like nothing, no ulterior motives, just truly like, hey, thinking of you right now. So thankful I get to do this with you. You're adding so much to our group or our team or whatever. And that, I feel like those conversations can really turn into those like coaching invites later on if they're a client. And for my team, it helps me, like there's some new coaches that I'm going to reach out to right now and just like do a check-in, like, hey, I'm so thankful for you. How are you feeling this week? So let's just take a few minutes. Let's just do like 5 minutes to do that. And then we will move, actually set a timer on my phone so we stay on task here. And please feel free to unmute if you need anything. For my new coaches, I'm messaging a couple of my new coaches right now, and I'm just saying, here, say, hey, Sarah, just wanted to say I'm so thankful that for you and that you're on my team. How are you feeling this week? How can I help? So just super basic. I really think that this business so much, like just taking the time. I was on a call the other day for some 5 to 8 star leaders, and the coach that they were interviewing, giving some pointers, she had such a like light bulb moment for me. And this kind of these texting is what spurred out of it, because she said, you know, you don't go to a restaurant and like are wowed when the waiter is polite to you and offers to refill your water and, you know, brings you, like, that doesn't wow you. Good service should be expected. It's when people go above and beyond that makes you a raving fan. And so she was talking about how she will send a postcard to every new challenger that joins her team, like handwritten note. just little, like honestly, little simple things. Because people, if they're joining our groups or they're joining our team, they're expecting us to do what we told them we do, right? Like that's not beyond the realm of anything, but just sometimes these extra little things, the extra check-ins that show that you care, I think really make a huge difference and can create those raving fans for people. So, okay, let's move on here a little bit. Did you guys send some message? You guys kind of feel clear on what you're inviting to, where your goals are, all the things. One tip I would give you is if you haven't started a bod group, even if you are not going to use that platform, I would recommend having one because I am getting so many requests to join mine from leads, and it allows me to, when I see that request come through, it allows me to email them and be like, hey, you want to join a group? Awesome. Like, what do you need? And so even if you're doing it on Facebook or you do your groups a different way, I would encourage you to actually open up a bod group, even if you're the only person in there, just because that helps. So now let's jump in. We are going to add followers and connect. So I'm going to set the timer. We're going to do 10 minutes. And these, I mean, there's so many different ways that we can do this, but if you're not growing your network, guys, your business is not going to grow. So you got to do this. And I will tell you, I've noticed it takes me probably 3 to 6 months for a completely cold Instagram connection to become a client. That's a long time. And I'm very consistent on my social media. So they know me well, but it takes time. So this kind of daily activity, I would say to like try to follow, even if you even follow 10 people a day, you've potentially added about 300 people a month. So one tip for you guys, I'll find it here on the Beachbody Champions page. This was really helpful for me, and I shared this on my last Power Hour. So I'm sorry if this is where is Champions? Here. I'm sorry if this is redundant, but if you weren't on it, so basically, if you go to Jace Ludgren is a coach in this page, and she shared a connections hour that is gold. Like if you're struggling with making connections, this is one of the best, like 40 minutes that you can, it's this one right here, this networking action hour. She also has it. If you search her name on YouTube, it is there too. This was really, really helpful. So if you need something to work along with, I would encourage you to do that. And she does stuff a little bit different, but I like to choose an inspo account, and I like to look at the people who've liked it. And I will scroll through and I, double check that they're not a coach. You can get sucked into this. You can spend 5 hours doing this, guys. Don't do it. Set a timer. Just move fast. And I will do it in the 3-2-1 method, which probably you guys all know, but 3 likes, 2 comments or questions, and 1 follow, and I do it in that order. So the follow is the last thing so they see all these like, oh, Abby was engaging on my stuff. Oh, she wanted to follow me. And if they have a story, I will be sure to watch it and comment on it because that opens up a direct message. And when you message somebody on either Facebook or on Instagram, the way the algorithm works is your stuff is going to show up in their feed more predominantly. So that's really important. And I personally like to not just comment on their most recent post. I like to kind of scroll a little bit and make sure it's something that would pop out at me. So if you're struggling with inspo accounts, like think about, what are you reading? Look around your living room, look around your nightstand. What are you reading? What are you listening to? If you were going to be Pinterest searching right now, outside of your Beachbody world, what would you be saving? What would you be looking up? Those are kind of your people. So for me, I have kids that are 6 and 3. So I'm looking, preschoolers, elementary school kids. My faith is really important to me. So there's an account. I can just show you guys what I do. But an example would be going to Scissortail Silk is one of my favorite Christian bloggers. She has kids a little bit older than mine, and I know her account is not massive, but I know that anybody who is following and engaging on Becky's stuff is very much my type of person. So I would go to a post of hers, like a fairly recent post, and I'm going to look at who's liking and who's commenting on it, and then I'll scroll through. I commented on it, but I would scroll through and be like, okay, who is this girl? It's a private account. I might choose to follow her just for the heck of it, because again, I know that this account is so specifically mine, like that would work with my target. Let's look at Brittany Mason here. Okay, totally she has stories up. That's great. She has lots of pictures of her kids. That's perfect. And she says she likes to get outdoors. From a quick scroll, this does not look like a coach account. I'm going to go look at this one. Let's see here. She's talking about workouts, but this does not look like a Beachbody one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to like a couple of her photos, give her a comment, and give her a follow. And she will most likely, and then I'm going to go to her stories and be like, such a cutie. I've never used buckwheat before. So that's all that I do. So even if you have 10 minutes, you can go do this with 10 accounts. I'm going to do the rest of this on my phone, but like oatmeal. So I try to ask like genuine questions where she probably will respond to that. So that would be an example. Heather, I do follow private accounts if I'm just working really fast, and if it like an account like Becky Thompson's, I would, because it's she's a very specific niche. If I was going to go to like one of Jace's examples in her networking hour, if she loves Oreos, she talks about Oreos, it's like one of her branding things. If I were going to go to the Oreo account, I wouldn't do private accounts. It's so big. It could be anybody. So I kind of pick and choose. Mallory, hardest time getting people to follow me back. Yeah, I think that, I mean, it can be, if someone's not following me back, I figure my content is not engaging. And that tells me two things. It either tells me they're not my person, and that's okay, or I need to up my game a little bit and like figure out what I can be sharing that will attract someone more. So if I'm looking at my page, is it literally just, I'm going to save her post really quick so I remember to come back to it. Is it just like super salesy, or if they're scrolling through it, are they going to connect with like, oh, they see I talk about miscarriage, or I'm sharing recipes, or it's not super salesy. Not saying yours is, but kind of look at your account. It doesn't have to be pretty, but just, is it going to connect with them? So yeah. So you're not doing invites right now. You're literally just adding people. And there's so many different ways that you can do this. And there's really, I don't think, a right or a wrong way. It's kind of like you're just leaving your calling card and just like, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. You want to follow me? I'm here. So don't take it personally if they don't follow you back. It's easy to, I know, but just kind of work fast and efficiently. And as long as you're consistent, they're going to come look at your stuff, and then they may or may not follow you. It's sort of like, I think, like a blind date kind of. The other thing that you can do, I would say, is if you're having a hard time with people from accounts that you like don't personally know, the other thing you can do is go look at your friends on Instagram and go add their followers, right? Like those are very real people, and they probably have something in common with you. If it's someone that you want to recruit as a coach, like obviously don't go poach all their friends. Like, you know, look at who you're following. But if you have a follower who like follows you very consistently, engages on your stuff, go look at her followers, because they're probably going to be really similar people to that. That would be another thing that you could do. If anyone else has other ways that they like to add followers, definitely feel free to unmute and share, because there's always so many good options. The other thing that I'm not great at this, honestly, consistently, but when I think about it and I remember to, if someone follows me back, I try to message them right away, not an invite, just like a, hey, thank you so much for following me, and say something specific about their thread. So. Okay, timer just went off, so we're gonna move on. Hopefully you guys at least made a few following connections. So we're gonna continue to do connections here. These are people, so I like to go to, if you go, and the last time I did this, some people said that they didn't have this option, but on my stories, if I scroll over on my Instagram stories all the way as far as I can, it will start getting people where they look, do you see how they're like opaque, like grayed out there? Those are stories that I have not connected with in a while. Like they're kind of like grayed because I haven't. So I will scroll over and I will go interact on their stories for a little bit, or go to the, like, to their people.
Could you show that one more time? I didn't.
Yeah. So on my, just like my stories, as I'm scrolling through, hopefully, I know it's hard to see phone screens on a Zoom screen. If I scroll all the way over to the right, do you see how the difference is where those ones are opaque looking and this one is bright? The opaque looking ones are people you haven't engaged with in a while, you haven't connected with. Someone the last time said that they didn't have that option. So I don't know, like maybe if you don't, what I would do in this little time is just go look at people whose stories are active that are not like on your team or something, and go connect in the stories. And again, by connect, just be like, oh my God, like I just did that, girls. Like I've never cooked with buckwheat before. Like does it taste like oatmeal? Like it is a genuine, you're not doing invites or anything like that. You're just genuinely connecting with them, saying, hey, that's all. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Yeah, and if you don't have those people to connect with, then just go connect on other stories. And again, this is because being social on social media, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't do social media really before I became a coach. And so this concept, I learned it for my business, and it's honestly harder in some ways to use it socially than it is just to post things about my business. And so this is really to help you kind of just be that social person. And again, it bumps you up in the algorithm.
When you follow people but they don't follow you back, like how long after do you unfollow people? Because like yeah, I do follow people and they never follow me back, so I'm like trying to connect but they don't answer because they're not following me, so I feel like my message gets to the request.
Yeah. So if there's someone who you really want to have, like, you're like, they're my dream person, like, I just really want to do this, then I just keep following them. I honestly don't track these kinds of things. I don't track connections. I don't track, just because if I had more time, I would, but I literally usually work this business like a half hour to an hour a day because of my kids. So I'm sure there's people who do track it, but what I do is every once in a while, like every other week or so, I will go into who I'm following, and you can sort when it pulls up, at least on my phone on Instagram, it'll bring up, it'll either bring up least interacted with, so I can go, and it's 50 people. So I can go and I can either interact with them or unfollow them, or it can also sort by the longest I followed them and the most recent. So usually I'll go to the most recent ones and kind of just look through and see, like, following me back, yes or no, and if not, I'm just gonna unfollow. So again, I don't have a system for that per se. It's more just like when I think I'll go do it. And how you can tell if someone is not following you is if you click on their followers. If you are not the first name that pops up, they're not following you back. Is how you can see that really easily. So that probably is not helpful. If someone else has a better system, please share. That's what I do.
I also do that. Like, I feel like after a couple of days, I'm like, oh, because like I can see their stories because they're like not private, but they're not following me back. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna unfollow them.
Yeah. And I'm just like, well, that's okay. Okay, we're gonna keep connecting, but I'm just gonna scroll down to this one. So this is connecting people who are connecting with you. So if you need to do more of like just story connections, do that. But now go look at the last 3 posts and see who's liked it or commented on it, and go and sprinkle some love on their page. So actually go like on their stuff, comment on their stuff, go to your Instagram story with the highest views and do the same thing. This is not sending them messages. This is not actually inviting them. This is actually going to their profiles and engaging on it if you can. I mean, some people haven't posted in like 4 months, and so then I just let those people slide. But if I ever get to a point where I feel like, you know what, nobody's commenting on my stuff and nobody's liking on my stuff, I have to do an honest gut check and be like, am I actually doing that back to people, or am I just posting and ghosting? Like, am I just posting and then expecting everybody to love on me when I'm not returning that favor? So go actually spread some love on other people's posts who are liking your stuff. And we'll get to the actual like invites and stuff in a minute. And as I'm going through like people's profiles, if they jump out at me, I will actually save, like there's a girl who's commenting on my stuff and I'm like, as I'm looking at her profile, I'm like, dang, I want to totally invite her later, but I don't feel like I can extend an invite yet because I really haven't engaged with her that much. So I can save to a collection, and I have like a dream coaches or a dream client collection on Instagram. And that way, when I'm struggling knowing who to invite, I can go there. If you don't know how to save, you just hit this little flag in the corner, and then it'll bring up an option that says save to a collection, and you can either create a new one or you can add it to one that you've already created. And then how you see them is if you go to your profile and you click on these 3 lines, it'll bring up saved. So then you can go to saved and it will show you every post that you've saved and if you have a collection. So that's another thing that you can do if you're struggling, being like, who do I invite today, or who do I need to go connect with? I will go back to those ones too and be like, okay, I haven't actually engaged on their stuff in a few days. So I don't like to do cold invites. I don't think anybody does. And I will occasionally, but most of the time it's like her, I'm like, oh, I think I could totally invite her to coaching, but I need to warm her up for a few weeks first. If you're a newer coach, like these connections are going to be your customers. Like it's planting seeds, right? You can't expect to plant seeds and then harvest the next day. And this business is built on consistency. And so like if you're newer and you don't have a huge following, or you're adding a lot of people, it's going to take time. So you're just doing these connections and it doesn't feel like an income producing activity in the sense that, you know, you're just saying, hey, but it's building trust and authenticity with your audience. So it really does pay off, but you also will still need to invite, and especially those people who are in your warm market who already know, like, and trust you. Those are going to be your first kind of round of them once. And then, you know, you can obviously like invite people once you've engaged with them a little bit more. But I know that, for instance, I know if I'm struggling to hit Success Club one month, I look at my invites the previous month because I have about a 2 to 3 week lag time. And so if I was not inviting 2 weeks ago, guess what? That's showing up now. And so really, it doesn't mean you work yourself to the ground in this business, but it does mean that you send at least 3 invites a day. That's not hard to do. And it's just that consistency that really builds on itself. That's super, super important. All right. So hopefully you've gotten some connections in. We are going to move into inviting now. And so I don't know about you. I used to hate inviting, and I actually really love it now because it's a gift. And so if you need to go drink some Energize or listen to some Bon Jovi or go read a messenger from a challenger, like get in the mindset of being excited. I swear, I don't know how, but I swear people can hear your energy through a message. And I could say the same words, but if I'm in like a super like, oh, headspace, I don't think it has the same rate of return. I don't know why that is, but I think it's just true. So get in the right mind space. Think about the fact of where you would be if someone had not invited you, or actually I was invited. I was not invited to coaching, but I was invited as a challenger. And I'm so thankful every day that that random girl from a mom's group reached out to me on Facebook, because she had no idea. I literally said yes like that because I was so ready to make a change. And so I know that if she hadn't reached out to me, I'd be 35 pounds heavier. You know, I wouldn't be home with my kids now, like all those kinds of things. And so it's worth paying forward. So some examples, Emily, you should totally join us this month. Would it be okay if I sent you more info? That's super generic from a story viewer or from a post. You know, don't know if you saw this, but I'm prepping, speak how you would speak. Voice messages are awesome. I think people can really hear your excitement through them. And I only invite people that I have made connections with in the past. So if I'm going to, like, if they're a story viewer and I pull up their profile and I look at our message history, if I haven't ever talked with them before, I'm not going to shoot them a cold invite. I will say something like, let me pull it up here. I have it saved. Like, hey, thank you so much. Hold on, that's not the right one. I'm finding it, sorry. I have an invites folder saved on my phone. And then you can also save your, like, you can save comment responses on Instagram, which is helpful. But I'd say like, hey, thank you so much for following along with my stories today. It's always a hot mess here, but I hope that it encourages you. Are you following me more for faith, fitness, my little fam, or my business? I would love to know how I can serve you better. So something like that, where it's to a new follower, that really opens up the door. And if someone says back, hey, I'm following you for fitness, then that's like, oh, awesome. And it allows me to invite them. So if it's someone who you haven't talked with before, or it's been a long time, don't go send them an invite, kind of maybe thank them for following you. I ask them for very specific reasons why they're following me. And so I make them pick from that list. And that way, if they say they're following me for fitness or business or nutrition or something like that, I know where I can be tweaking conversations with them. But if you have connected with them at least once before and you're consistent on your social media, then heck yes, shoot them an invite. So one example would be, hey, Ashley, thanks for following along with my stories today. It's always such a hot mess here. You're catching a theme probably. I wanted to reach out. I am so sorry I haven't before, and invite you to jump into my next boot camp. I don't know if you have goals you're looking to reach, but I just love the community and being able to connect with other women. Would you like to learn more? So that's like on me. Like, I'm so sorry. I've never connected with you before. So that's one you can do. Or let me find another one that I can read you guys. But I mean, put them in your own words. It's not that hard to do. Hopefully, I'm trying to find some more. Hey, Megan, I was sharing last night about the blessing of coaching and a group of other ladies. Blessings that coaching has given my family, and I had just had to reach out and say thanks for following along with our journey. I saw that you liked my most recent post talking about the business. Is coaching or jumping into a group something you've ever thought about? I would love to have you. Never pressure, of course, but if I can help at all, I'm here for you. So glad we connected here. Your little fam is adorable. So again, they're not high pressure invites. It's how I talk. I use emojis, like it's not formal, or I'll send voice messages too. So go do some invites.
I've actually noticed so many more people respond when it's a short and sweet little, hey,
yeah,
let's connect. And then you ended like that with the love watching your family or whatever. So it's like, it's very personal, but it's very short and sweet. Most people respond to me in that way.
I love that, Stephanie. I think it's because people don't want to scroll down and read like 5 paragraphs. It's like they can just read it in a line. What's the invite that you like to send, Steph?
Let me find it.
Evelyn, you just got a message from the voice clip. Perfect. Yeah. Shannon, while Stephanie's looking for her invite. Oh, did you find it? No, she's looking. I'll wait for her. You're good. You can unmute.
Okay, I say this was one of my aunts, actually, who I hadn't even considered inviting until she reached out and just liked on my post. I said, thanks so much for the support on my post. Really appreciate the love. I've been feeling so pumped about taking action. I just had to share. How are you? Anything new happening in your life? And then she wrote about, I really do need to get back on the wagon with that. Thanks for encouraging on your posts. So I just briefly said, I'd be happy to tell you more about my health and fitness coaching if you're interested. I have a group that's just now starting. You wouldn't even be behind. Want to know more? And she said yes.
Love that. Yeah, totally normal. Like nothing. That's totally normal conversation. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Shannon. So I think business invites are harder. I will say that. I think I spent 2 years of my business not inviting to the business, and I was an awesome stuck at diamond challenge group coach who had no working coaches and my paychecks didn't move. So it is harder, but I do think a couple things that really help is number one, writing down a list. We talked about this if you were on the Dream Team call last night. I ran it with my friend Rachel, and so it's shared. I know it's saved in all the recordings. So you can go back and look at that, but like literally writing down a list of everything. And you can do this for coaching and for challenge groups. So either, how are you a better person today because of this opportunity? So with coaching, maybe it's finances, but maybe it's your confidence. Maybe it's having something to learn, a new skill. Maybe it's friendships. Maybe it's opportunity. I know for me, as totally corny and cheesy as this sounds, this business has opened up the door to dream. Like I kind of was just like, going through the motions and stuff like, so literally write down anything that applies to you. So, and then you can make posts about that. I also find that it's really easier to invite to the business if I'm talking about it every day and I'm posting about it at least once or twice a week. So what I mean by that is I will have a post, like an actual feed post, whether it's a call to action or just sharing my story. I'm referencing coaching about twice a week. But then in my stories every day, it is in there. Now, sometimes it's like a little series of slides that's more like fancy looking about, like a CTA kind of invite. But sometimes it's me sitting on the couch at 10 p.m. watching New Girl with my husband and checking in with my challengers. And I just put a little blurb over about like my market, the way I market myself is I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. But I hated daycare for my kids, but I really like to work. And so I talk about that like for me, and again, this is talking to my audience, so yours might be different, but for me, I know that if I was seeing a mom who was making a full-time income and was able to fit it in a couple hours a day around her kids, like that attracts me more than doing Pinterest crafts. Nothing wrong with Pinterest crafts, but like I have a drive. So I want to show that to other women. So it's little blurbs in my stories like that. Or talking through what I'm doing. Like when I say nap time hustle, I'll list out like, what is my nap time hustle? Like, what am I doing? So it doesn't have to be serious, but just start talking about it every day, because then when you invite to it, people are like, oh yeah, that's what she was doing. Like, I get it. Like she's doing something. So you just have to start talking about it and it gets easier. And you also have to know that while you're doing invites or while you're sharing about these things, yeah, your audience is watching you, but guess who's really watching you is your challengers. Like they're in your groups and you're pouring into them, but they're probably following along with your stories. So when I use collagen in my stories, guess who starts ordering more? My challengers do. When I start sharing about coaching in my stories and then I reach out to the girl who's rocking her boot camp, she's slightly more familiar than she would be because I'm opening up about it. So you just have to rip the Band-Aid off. You just have to start. I think if you haven't invited to the business before, a really safe place to start is in your current challenge group and just say like, hey, and I will even say sometimes like, girl, I am terrified to reach out to you because you've been on my dream list. And honestly, it makes me have sweaty armpits, but I just have to ask like, and people get that, like, they're like flattered by it and they might say no, but guess who's going to be paying a little more attention now when I talk about the business? Like they're going to be watching a little bit more. So you just have to do it. Stuck at Emerald, not inviting. Yeah. You have to think of invites, guys, as like, if you owned a small business, when someone walks into your boutique, do you ignore them? No, that's rude, right? If I was going to post about, I just had my daughter's 3rd birthday, and I was posting on social media about the piñata and how cute it was, and the timer's going up, and all the stuff we were getting for her party, and asking for feedback on my polls and all this stuff. And then I just put up a post saying, hey, anyone's welcome. The party's at 3 on Saturday. You probably wouldn't come. But if I was like, oh my gosh, Stephanie, I would love for you to come to Paisley's party this weekend. Like, you have to think about it in those terms. You are a business owner. Inviting, like, all of the stuff that you're doing on social media is marketing, but the actual extension, and we like to put our best foot forward, right? We like to kind of make it look like we're really great, and that's a good thing. But I will get people sometimes who are like, oh, I didn't think you had time for me. I'm like, girlfriend, I need about 3 people this month. Of course I have time for you. But they don't get that. So really make sure that they feel wanted, that they feel valued, that they feel encouraged, and they might say no. And I just have had to let the personal side of it go. Like, I don't take it personally anymore. I'm not offended anymore. I was, as a new coach, I get my feelings hurt. And I get all, like, when people, you can see they've seen the message and just like, just freaking respond and stop liking my posts and all that stuff. But you just have to take yourself out. Be like, this is a gift. I'm just offering it, and I'm going to pay it forward, and I'm just going to keep going. And you just have to do that. And I know that if my bare minimum of invites, and this would be bare minimum, like, it's what I was doing when I was working full time and had a toddler, and my husband was gone 5 nights a week at the fire department, like swamped, was I would not go to bed until I'd sent 3 invites. Because I knew if I sent 3 invites a day, then I had talked to almost 100 people that month, right? So statistically, you're going to come from somewhere. And I, like, even this month, for example, I was stalled out. I wasn't at Success Club, and all of a sudden I'm at Success Club 12, because all of a sudden people just kind of come. So it's not going to be like, you're not going to like invite 3 and 1 person will come. I know for every 10 invites I send, maybe 1 or 2 people will say yes. So it's just a numbers game. And I know, like, if I'm consistent with my content and I'm adding value, that enhances it. But yeah, sorry, that's a little like soapbox speech. No, I'm sorry. Get out of your head. Do your invites and don't get hurt. Well, this is perfect, Sonia. We're going to talk about follow-ups right now. So that's a great segue. So follow-ups are, okay, how many of you guys, I'm just curious, I'm going to make yours hand. How many of you are scared to follow up or don't like it or feel nervous about it? A few of you? Oh, a few. Okay. If not, that's okay. But here's the deal. So follow-ups, I know that you can feel like you're spammy or annoying. So while I'm talking, just be sending these. But they make your business, because, not to be mean, but their world does not revolve around you. So chances are either they're not interested and just ignoring you, which does happen a lot, or maybe their baby started crying, or someone came to the doorbell, or something happened, like life hit, and you are not, like, your challenge pack sale is not top of mind for them. Okay. So it's just that, like, think of when you go put something in your cart at, like, on Gap outlet or whatever, and then you leave the site, and like 2 seconds later you have like, hey, you left this in your cart, here's 30% off. I'm not annoyed by that. I'm like, oh yeah, I meant to go back. I'll do that later tonight. So that's all that follow-ups are. It's just you making that connection. I used to work in sales for a university, and I knew that I'd had to have about between 10 and 20 touch points with a student and their family before they would make the decision to fill out an application. And that could be emails, in-person conversations, phone calls, hard materials that went out to them. Like, that's a lot of touch points that you have to make. And so that's all that you're doing with your follow-up. And so many of my sales have come from the follow-up. Yeah, Heather, SC10, all about follow-ups. So oversend stuff. So here's what I do. And again, if any of you have other feedback, let me know. But I will follow up 2 to 3 times. And then after that, and I'll usually wait about a day or 2, 48 hours-ish in between. After that, if they don't respond, I'll just say something like, hey, sounds like this month, isn't a great time for you. Want me to circle back around, in July or whatever. So I just put the ball in their court. Or sometimes if we've actually had a conversation about their goals, or we kind of have started down that path, if it's not just they haven't responded to anything, I'll shoot them a follow-up like after those 3 messages where I'm actually following up about the group. And I'll say, like, I'll pull something from Beachbody blog and be like, hey, I know you were saying that sweets are a huge struggle for you. Here's one of my favorite cleaned up brownie recipes. Hope you're doing well. Like, serving them so that I'm not just like sales. I'm genuinely cared about what they told me, and I'm going to serve them. Or I'll offer them, you know, hey, do you want to try a sample of something? Or do you want to be on my email list? Like, it doesn't have to be, like, I will keep the door open for them. And then they go on my list, and every month, if I have their email, they get an email from me with like, here's your, you know, opportunities for the month or things like that. So that's all I do. I don't have a really good system. I used to just rely on marking messages as unread in Facebook Messenger, which did not serve me very well. So I do try to write them down. I do for me personally. And I know everyone's different. I work from email the best. That helps me stay more organized. So I try to get people's email as quickly as I can and take it out of the DMs, just because I lose stuff in there. And that's just how my brain works. So yeah, just do your follow-ups. If you've gotten to the point where they've told you their whys, they've kind of shared a little bit of their story with you. Sometimes mine are pretty direct. I'm just like, hey, I know you shared with me, you know, that you're really trying to lose weight after baby, and, you know, blah, 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 has been a struggle for you. Do you have any fears holding you back right now? Like, let's chat about that. And I'll be pretty straight on that, because I know it's a really good deal. And I know that oftentimes, I think 9 times out of 10, they're just scared. They're scared that they're going to fail at something. They're scared to make the investment. And here's the deal, the tough love with the follow-up is this shows them what kind of a coach you're going to be, right? Like, if you're following up with them now, then that shows them that in your challenge group, you're not going to let them slide. They're not going to go MIA on you. So this really is, I think, the proof in the pudding. And you can even say that, like, hey, I take coaching so seriously that even though I know you're not in my group yet, you told me this, and I really want to make space for you. Like, how can I help? So go to your follow-ups. Yeah, Google Streak is incredible. It's free. If you go on YouTube and search Google Streak for Beachbody, Melanie has a great video. It's like 15 minutes long, I think, unless Heather, you have a better one. And that's how I set mine up, which is awesome. So you're like 5 more minutes on this. Is there anything else that would be helpful for you guys, or conversations in the last few minutes that you guys need, or feedback from those of you guys who've been around a while, if you have anything that's really working for you right now?
I just feel like I do follow up, I add people and stuff, but I don't know. I just can't get anyone to join this month. I don't know. I just feel discouraged. I don't know.
A couple things that help me when I feel like I'm just running into a wall is I'll look in, like, are you getting a fairly consistent reason why people aren't, like, are they telling you why they're not? Or are you just not getting any feedback?
No, like, I feel like I've been trying to follow up with people that, like, from April and maybe March and stuff, but they just don't respond. And I don't want to, like, keep messaging them, you know. I don't want people to block me, or, you know.
I kind of say, like, until they tell me no, I'm gonna message them at least once a month. Like, and I don't think once a month is wrong. I think if you were messaging them every day and they told you, like, they didn't respond back in April, then that would be annoying. But if they were interested in March or April and you're just shooting them a once a month, like, hey, here's what's coming up for July, I take it seriously, you know, I want to serve you. Some other things, if you're stalled out, when I was a newer coach, I remember being really stuck not hitting Success Club. There's 2 things that worked really, really well. I was getting a lot of objections about time, not about money, but about time. People were like, I don't have time to fit this in. And so this might be popping up more a little bit now that everyone's going back. Well, not everyone, but stuff is opening up and things like that. So one of my most successful challenge groups I ever ran, guys, it was the same exact script I use like, there was nothing different I did in it, honestly. It was the same challenge group, but I just rebranded it. And so I called it, because my market, again, is usually a lot of younger moms. So I called it 30 Minutes for Me. And I talked in my stories about how my workouts were my sanity saver. Instead of sitting on the couch watching Netflix after the kids went to bed, like, this was, like, all the reasons other than just losing weight that this was helping me. And I talked about meal prep and how it was saving me time and just showing how simple it was. Like I eat really simply. So I was showing that all behind the scenes in my stories. And then my theme for it was 30 minutes for me. And so when I was doing my invites or when I had like an actual like story series or post about it, I talked about like, hey, we're going to get you set up with a workout that you can do in 20 minutes or under, right? We have 22-minute hardcore, we have T25, we have Transform 20. So you're going to get 20 minutes, 25 minutes. You will have time to get a shower in, and you will have filled your cup in about 30 minutes a day. Like everyone has 20 minutes. Like you can't tell me you have that. So that was kind of my marketing for it. And that went really, really well because it was publicly addressing an objection that I was getting a lot behind the scenes, and it served my niche super, super well. So that's when I did. The other thing I did once is I went through, this was when I was like 2 months into the business. I went through my Facebook friends list and I messaged every single friend of mine who had kids 5 and under. And I said, hey, Susie, like and these were cold invites a little bit. But I was like, hey, I don't know if you've seen what I'm doing as a coach, but I love it. I'm getting results. Like it's been so much fun. And I know how hard it is as a mom. I was thinking it would be fun. I want to put together a little community where we all have kids 5 and under. We're sharing some healthy recipes, kid-friendly snacks, some of the tips and tricks I've learned, and then workouts you can fit in during a nap time or when you get home from work in about 30 minutes a day. And we can all just support and encourage each other. Would that be something you want info on? And I sent that out. So that was a little bit more of a cold message. But again, it was so tailored and so specific to my tribe, for lack of a better word, that was received really well as well. So you can kind of think outside the box, think about like, what are your people looking for right now? What would speak to them? Maybe it doesn't have to be serious. It could be a goofy one. It could be like, we're doing a friends themed challenge group, or I don't know. I've been doing the last 10 pounds. That's been my current one that just kicked off. And so I invited to that, and it's like a nutrition focused one, talking a lot about like, here's the practical stuff. We're going to talk about intermittent fasting. We're going to talk about carb cycling. Like we're going to get this stuff done. And you better believe I'm screenshotting all of the good stuff that's going on in that group. I'm going to be posting it to my stories for FOMO, because when I reopen my boot camp for July, they're going to be like, man, if I jumped in 3 weeks ago, like here's where I'd be. So creating that as well helps a lot. So I don't know if those ideas help. Is there anything else? I'm looking at the chat here. I know, Janelle's butt, right? I told my husband, I'm like, if I showed my butt more on Instagram, I'd probably be in the top 10. But that's just not how I do my business, so I'm not going to. Heather, I want to reconnect. Love that. That's awesome. So good. I'm working from my phone. Don't need anyone up. Is there anything else that you guys need before we run? No? I'm going to take a boomerang or a photo. I will share it in the group so you can use it. So if you want to show your beautiful face, do that. If not, then you'll just be a black square, and that's okay. Oh, look at all you popping on. Okay. I would do boomerang, but I don't think you guys can save that from the group. So, all right, everyone ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hold on. Shannon, you were fixing your hair. Let me do one more. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. I will upload this to the group. Thank you guys for popping on today. Hope this was helpful. If you need anything, just reach out to me or tag me, and have an awesome day. Bye.